In Uganda, it is Museveni's sixth term, but in Nairobi, it is the battle of the wits to control Nairobi County functions, and the push to popularize the BBI movement is gathering pace. Good evening and welcome. This is Breaking Today, bringing you up to speed on the latest news making headlines across the globe. My name is Cliff Fundubi. Tracy Dorcas is our sign language interpreter. Breaking Today begins now, but first, here are the highlights. It's Museveni again. Uganda's Electoral Commission announces its official general election results as the EU commends them for a peaceful elections. We will head to court. Advocates and politicians accuse the infamous deep state of infiltrating Nairobi County functions. And in our special interview tonight, we look at increase in crime cases amongst students. Remember, this broadcast is live across our social media handles at Switch TV Kenya on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can get interactive through SMS on 111-444-111, and we begin. Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni has won a sixth term in office with 58.6% of the votes casted in an election disputed by his main rival Bobi Wine, and who came second with 34.8%, extending his 35-year rule. The election took place after one of the most violent campaigns in years, with harassment and arrests of opposition, attacks on the media, and deaths of at least 54 people. Museveni, who took power in 1986, is one of Africa's longest-serving presidents. Daniel Kariuki now has filed this report.
Uganda's Electoral Commission has declared incumbent President Yoweri Museveni the winner of the country's presidential election, extending his 35-year rule term, as his main rival Bobi Wine is alleging fraud and voter rigging as he urges the citizens not to accept the vote. Museveni secured 5.85 million votes, a 58.64% of the total votes cast, while main opposition candidate Bobi Wine only scored 5.48 million votes, a 34.83% of the total votes cast.
Candidate Yoweri Museveni Kaguta Kaguta, having obtained the highest number of votes in the election, and the votes cast in his favor being more than 50% of the valid votes cast at the election, the Electoral Commission declares Yoweri Museveni Kaguta elected President of the Republic of Uganda at the presidential election held on the 14th day of January 2021.
A total of 10,359,479 votes were cast on Thursday, which translates to a turnout of 57%. Valid votes numbered 9,978,093, while invalid votes numbered 381,386. Today's results follow months of campaigning that marred by heavy-handed state security responses to anti-Museveni protests, as well as the arrest of civil society members. Dozens of people were killed in the months running up to the vote, including 45 who died in protest in November after one was arrested for allegedly breaking COVID-19 restrictions. Ugandans voted in the poll on Thursday amid the internet shutdown. The internet blackout has raised questions around the integrity of the vote count, and almost meant biometric machines failed to register ballots, forcing many polling stations to use manual voting and checks. There were also reports of late delivery of voting material and insufficient material at numerous polling stations. In 2005, the Ugandan parliament removed presidential term limits to allow Museveni to remain in office. During the 2016 election, his closest competitor, opposition leader Kizza Besigye, was put under preventive arrest at his home in Kampala, along with 6 other officials. Daniel Kariuki for Switch TV.
Thank you, Daniel Kariuki, for that story. Still in Uganda, President Yoweri Museveni, who has been in power for 35 years, has just clinched a sixth term a few hours ago. The 76-year-old says he is standing for stability, while on the other hand, Bobi Wine, the stage name for the 38-year-old Robert Chagulanyi, says he represents the younger generation in one of the world's youngest countries. Emmanuel Terrer now tells us more about this man, Museveni.
Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni, who is seeking re-election, took power and has ruled ever since, making him one of the world's longest-serving leaders.
The right age, but they learned.
As a young rebel leader, Museveni helped dictator Idi Amin in 1970 push to wage a guerrilla war against his repressive successor Milton Obote. Shortly after ousting the government and taking power in 1986, Museveni declared the problem of Africa in general and Uganda in particular is not the people, but leaders who want to overstay in power. Museveni received early applause for returning some stability and prosperity to Uganda, which after years of coup, violent tyrants and civil war was among the world's poorest countries. He was returned to office in 1996 in the country's first direct presidential election since independence from Britain in 1962. Uganda's economy grew rapidly in the 90s as Museveni undertook sweeping reforms, pleasing foreign donors and financial lenders keen to sponsor the burgeoning Africa success story. But his moral standing took a particular hit when Uganda and Rwanda invaded the Democratic Republic of Congo twice in the late 90s. Both armies were later charged in The Hague with looting Congo's resources, killing and torturing civilians and using child soldiers. In 2001, Museveni defeated his main opposition rival Kizza Besigye at the ballot box and commits to standing down at the next election. But instead, he changed the constitution in 2005 to do away with the presidential term limits. Uganda's pop star turned politician Bobi Wine, who has been faced by a lot of challenges, said he was arrested, beaten and tortured by police minutes after he registered his candidacy to challenge the president in this year's election. Wine, a 38-year-old opposition MP whose real name is Robert Kyagulanyi, was pulled by police from his car and thrown into a van after submitting his nomination papers to election officials in the capital Kampala. Emmanuel Terer, Switch TV.
Thank you, Emmanuel Terer, for that story. Sometimes Africa leadership is too toxic to take in. However, it is our continent. And away from Ugandan politics, back to the country, leaders across the country have voiced their concerns of how the government and the infamous deep state is bluntly ignoring the constitution. Third Way Alliance Secretary General Frederick Okango and Advocate Philip Mwangale have vowed to take the matter to court to avert the swearing in of Anne Kananu Mwenda. Namukana Samuel has filed this report.
After the controversial vetting, approval and swearing in of Anne Kananu yesterday, leaders across the country have voiced their concerns of how the government and the infamous deep state is bluntly ignoring the constitution.
It is the most unconstitutional and illegal thing that has ever happened in the history of politics, because the law does not work in retrospective. We are very disappointed as the people of Nairobi and as a party.
Third Way Alliance Secretary General Frederick Okango has declared that the party will be heading to court to challenge the swearing in of the deputy governor.
And as you are aware, this is a matter that is in court. We do hope that next week on 19th, when the court will be giving direction on our matter, they shall give direction that will favor the people of Nairobi.
Further, Okango claims the government has lost touch with the people and is fearing a by-election in Nairobi.
You see, all these politics that we are seeing, they're politics of fear. Because when people fear going into an election because they feel that they will be defeated, that is not democracy. Democracy is about winning and losing. If you lose, you lose.
One of the things that was clear when Sonko was being impeached, and in fact it formed part of the articles of impeachment at the county assembly and then at the Senate, was the fact that he had not chosen a deputy governor.
Philip Mwangale, an advocate, has also declared that he will be heading to court to avert the process, claiming that it was unconstitutional.
But again, I have some little trust left in our court system. And there are several litigants who are heading to court on Monday to seek conservatory orders and orders to overturn what we saw yesterday. So if they are successful on Monday and during the space of that week, then I think we can succeed in reversing the mutilation of the constitution that we saw yesterday.
According to Mwangale, an unseen force is behind the city hall politics and wants to take over the normal functioning of the county.
There are people who have deep interests in terms of tenders, who gets what tender, who gets to control what goes to what pockets.
The breach of the constitution at City Hall has sparked a debate nationally, many claiming this is a form of modern-day dictatorship. After the swearing in of Anne Kananu as the Deputy Governor of Nairobi County, leaders across the country are lamenting and terming this as unconstitutional and unacceptable in our democracy as a country. Namukana Samuel, Switch TV, Nairobi.
Thank you, Namukana Samuel, for that story. Away from the politics of the continent, the government has been commended for its effort to ensure that all learners resume classes after 9 months away due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Speaking at Bodoi Primary School in Kilifi South Sub-County, Chairman of the Rural Electrification and Renewable Energy Corporation, Professor Simon Gisharu, said that already most learning institutions were recording improved attendance since the government ordered the reopening of schools. Officials are impressed with the development so far, although there are challenges like ensuring social distancing in schools is observed, but they remain optimistic that things will improve for the better.
Any child who has attained an age of going to school must go to school, and that policy is still there. And then we have 100% transition is also a government policy we are also implementing. So the problems, most of the schools that they're saying it is about the social distancing. The desks are there, as the teacher said, but they are not enough. And the government has provided the desk. It's almost all the primary schools.
Ministry of Education for remaining focused in terms of encouraging and supporting the back to school program. COVID-19 is here with us. It might remain with us for some time, and life must continue. And we must support schools like Bodoi Primary School.
Now, elsewhere, Senate Speaker Kenneth Lusaka has said that the delay in funding of county governments is disrupting governors' efforts to implement projects in the counties. The Speaker further emphasized on the Western region unity that continues to be divided. Our very own Joy Maureen has compiled this story.
Following the delay of allocation of funds to county governments, the Senate plans to start pushing the National Treasury to provide funds to county governments starting Monday next week. Senate Speaker Ken Lusaka claiming Senate has already received complaints from the governors over the lack of funds to run operations in their county governments.
Governors wamelia sana. Itakuwa jukumu langu nikiwa Speaker wa Senate nikirudi Nairobi kuanzia siku ya Jumatatu tuanze kuengage Treasury kuhakikisha kwamba pesa hizi zinakuja katika counties kama hazijakuja, kwa sababu vile tunaona mambo yakiendelea kama pesa haziwezi kuingia kwa muda unaofaa, inamaanisha kwamba miradi mingi itakwama.
However, Lusaka has urged governors to use the county funds in the issues facing the people, especially in strengthening the health sector and reviving the economy that was disrupted by the coronavirus pandemic.
And if there is a time that we have learned that we must put our health first, ni wakati huu tumekuwa na COVID. Mnajua kwamba wakati huu wa COVID, hata kama nani angekuwa mgonjwa na atake kwenda ng'ambo, it was not possible because inji zote zilikuwa zimefungwa.
Kakamega Senator Cleopas Malala reiterating Lusaka's sentiments, claiming the health sector needs to be given first priority to avoid health workers' strikes.
Serikali ya county government imelala kidogo kwa masuala ya health. Mliona nikikuja hapa kwa hospitali yetu ya Malava, ukienda kule kama unaenda kuzaa, unaambiwa tena uende ununue gloves. Sasa mimi nashangaa mama ambaye kwa labor pains, badala umweke kwa ward aanze kumzalisha tena unamtuma aenda anunue gloves. Mimi ningependa kuomba haswa wale wabunge wa county assembly ambao wako hapa, ni jukumu lenu kuhakikisha mumeangalia jinsi vile gavana anafanya kazi.
Meanwhile, Lusaka has also called on leaders from the Western region to work together in partnership before the 2022 general elections.
Kuna sehemu Mheshimiwa Uhuru akiambia watu wa Central turuke juu, wanauliza tukae juu mutagani. Raila akiambia watu kule anguka kwa Victoria, wanaanguka kwa waulize tuko hapa ndani maji tutafanya nini. Ruto akiambia watu tukimbie, wanamuuliza tukimbie speed gani? Wacha Western ukisema turuke, wanasema tunaruka kwa nini? Lazima tujipange ama tutapanga.
Joy Maureen, Switch TV.
Right, thank you, Joy Maureen, for that story. At exactly 12 minutes past the hour, we take our first break. But some of your feedback through our social media handle, Switch TV Kenya on Facebook. Shay Joy, yani Bobby Wine, amelose after hiyo kustruggle yote. Sasa angefanya nini? Jabatiso KE, tuned in, Uganda is bleeding. Kenya, let's learn from this come 2022. Finally, Stony K, Pure Sham, talking about the Uganda elections. But do you think the elections were free and fair? Keep talking to me. 111 444 111 is my SMS line. Switch TV Kenya across our social media handles. At this minute, we take a very short break. When we come back, we shall be having more. Welcome back. This is Breaking Today, bringing you up to speed on the latest news making headlines across the globe. Do keep in touch via our social media handles on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, Switch TV Kenya. Also our SMS line 111 444 111. And we continue. The alarming increase in crime among students across the country has sparked a series of emotions, raising eyebrows and leaving behind a chain of blame games. Our reporter Hadia Mosiwa had a vast conversation with Edith Aura, who is a psychologist, and this is the first segment of this discussion.
There's been a sudden increase in crimes among students since they recently returned back to school after an extensive break of a lot of months in the mid of curbing the spread of COVID-19. I'm speaking to Edith Aura, who is a psychologist and also a registered Kenyan nurse, on exactly what is happening to the students right now and what could be the main cause of this sudden change of behavior. Daktari, welcome to
Thank
Switch
you
TV.
so much.
And we've seen the sudden increase in crime cases among students, and also we have witnessed cases in Kisii, for example. There was a student who stabbed 2 teachers, almost to death. Now, so many other cases have come up in the country that show crime among students, that they recently returned to school. It's just been a week or less than 10 days. What is going on? Where are we going wrong?
Thank you so much, Eben, as we talk about that. It's a very important topic to tackle at this point. It may look like it's late because we've been found what they call, just found flat-footed as a country and also as parents and as teachers. But whatever is happening is just normal. It's a normal reaction because of the changes the children have gone through, that no one has addressed the children. The children are feeling left out. The children are